Good afternoon. Go ahead and call this second budget public hearing to order. Excuse me, September 23rd, 2024, 5:02 p.m. Ernie Lee McGahey, Government Building. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. We'll begin with the pledge. Commissioner Burgash, do you mind doing the pledge?
Absolutely. Please join me.
Then I'll
Please
take
stand.
the floor for a moment.
I pledge allegiance
And Board, certainly in lieu of the events on Saturday, I think it would be appropriate if we wouldn't mind, and rather than a prayer, a moment of silence for a fallen employee on Saturday. Is just a tragic event. Ms. Tamika Williams is gone, and just if we might stand and observe a moment of silence in her honor and thoughts about her family and children and grandchildren. All right, thank you very much. Just genuinely one of the most tragic events to have happened in all of my years on the board. Just a terrible event. It's not necessarily on the agenda, and we are together tomorrow morning. Is there anything for Commissioners Forum before we begin the business this evening?
No, Commissioner, other than my heart grieves and hurts. I mean, there's probably very few budget hearings that you and I have been in that Tamika was not here for the last 9 or 10 years, and just spoke with some of her family members and close friends, and for her children, and I think her son is in town now, and her grandchildren. I mean, what a sad day for Escambia County. And Tamika was a personal friend, and many of the young people who came through our summer employment program now have jobs because of the efforts of Tamika, and certainly my condolences and prayers go out to her family. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, absolutely, Commissioner.
I'll echo those thoughts. Absolutely. Prayers for Tamika and her family.
Mike, just.
No, I want to say the same thing as everyone else. What's important when something like this happens, that everyone reflects on their environment. You look around, make sure your coworkers are all right. Dig deep. A lot of times you don't know what's going on with someone you're working around. I've seen this a lot, and it's heart-wrenching for everybody. So terrible news, but there's always an opportunity to save someone else. So keep your eyes open and let's help each other out.
Amen. Thank you. Mr. Administrator, any comments before we begin the business?
No, Mr. Chairman, just echo the same sentiments.
All right, thank you. Was the meeting properly advertised?
Mr. Chairman, the second public hearing for consideration of the final budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 was advertised in the Escambia Sun Press on September 19th, 2024 in the board's weekly meeting schedule. The notice of proposed tax increase and the budget summary for fiscal year 2024-2025 were advertised in the Pensacola News Journal on September 19th, 2024.
All right, thank you. Entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Second.
All right, please vote. Item passes 4-0 to waive the reading of the advertisement. Anything to be added to the agenda, Madam Counsel? Commissioner May?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Burgash?
Nothing for me.
Kohler? All right, I have none. Mr. Administrator? Nothing. Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as it is.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote. Agenda passes 4-0. 501 public hearing. Do we have any speakers? Okay, thank you. Mr. Administrator, 501 public hearing to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is the second of 2 required public hearings for the board to adopt the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. At its first public hearing held September 10th, 2024, the Board of County Commissioners adopted the tentative millage rates and budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. The law requires that prior to consideration of the final budget, an explanation of the rollback rate be provided and entered into the records. The rollback rate is a computed millage rate that would generate the same amount of ad valorem tax dollars as the prior fiscal year based on the proposed year's tax roll excluding new construction. The millage rates tentatively approved by the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners on September 10th, 2024 are 6.6165 for the countywide millage rate, 0.3590 for the library municipal services taxing unit, and 0.6850 for the sheriff's law enforcement municipal services taxing unit. The aggregate of these millage rates proposed for fiscal year 2024-2025 is 6.23%, above the rollback rate of 7.0358, certified by the property appraiser. This represents the percentage increase in property taxes tentatively adopted by the board. Staff has recommended one amendment to the fiscal year 2024-2025 tentative budget. This amendment, for an increase of $50,072,799, is for recommended adjustments to the tentative budget. The revised budget will result in a balanced unified budget of $798,672,479, which is 11.1% more than the adopted fiscal year 2023-2024 budget of $718,681,245.
All right, thank you, Mr. Administrator. Entertain, this is an actionable item at this step. Or no? Is this an actionable item at this step or no? Is this just
I think it's just
presentation?
reading into the
Okay,
record.
all right, super.
The next portion is, we're requesting that the board make a final determination tonight regarding the funding amount to be allocated to each of our community partners. This funding determination is necessary to prepare the fiscal year 2024-2025 community partner funding agreements and to issue the associated purchase orders in a timely fashion. These purchase orders will come before the board for formal approval in October.
All right, thank you, Mr. Administrator. First speaker is from Sale, Pensacola. Is it Timothy Ryerson or Ryerson? I'm sorry. Oh, okay, thank you. Next speaker is Charles Bear, Keep Pensacola Beautiful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. It's an honor to be here with you tonight. We just got done with the council agenda review a few minutes ago, so I'm just glad I could be here. I'm here before you to talk about Keep Pensacola Beautiful. I'm the CEO. I've been in the job for about 18 months now. When I did the community partner paperwork, the first time I did it last year, I'd been on the job for 7 days. So I really had no idea what I was doing. And I also didn't know that when you got to this part of the process, that really what was recommended to you all was what we were allocated the previous year. And so I really wasn't well prepared last year. This year I'm better prepared because of my age. I need reading glasses. I just wanted to share a couple figures with you. Some of this I've already shared with you, but I just wanted to cover a couple things. At this point, one of the things we do as part of our allocation with you is we pick up roadside litter. In the previous year, we did about 31,000 pounds of roadside litter pickup. We're up to 59,000 so far in this fiscal year. We'll probably get close to doubling what we did last year. We also participate in the community, the neighborhood cleanups that you all do as well. We picked up 271 tires, over 1,100 cans of paint and household chemicals during that time as well. We've logged about 2,490 volunteer hours for our volunteers and picked up over 555 pounds of trash in parks and at the beaches in the county. So in addition to what we do in those aspects, we also have some proactive things trying to get people more engaged and not producing litter. We have the Adopt a Spot program, which you all have funded in the past. We also have education programs. We work with everything from K through college, really, at this point. Our funding comes from the Solid Waste Fund program, but really what we do kind of spans across tourism. It spans across local option sales tax. I mean, any of those sources could be used to fund what we do, because a lot of what we do is work at the beaches. We do cleanups. We do dozens of cleanups each year. One of your Public Works employees out there said, "You just did my job for me today." So we feel like we're saving the county money, and we're trying to expand what we do, and we're just asking for a little bit more this year than what we asked for last year. So I'd yield to any questions.
Board, Mike, sure.
Yeah. Mr. Bear Charles, I've known for a little bit, but he reached out to me recently about this, and I know in my district, there's a lot of things on here that's important to the community as large, but a lot of the neighborhoods that I represent, their biggest concern is trash in the right-of-way, all over the place. I get more calls about garbage in the right-of-way than any other call while we're allowing it. Miss White, don't know Miss White, but she, if you want to do a public records request, you can get her complaint from Myrtle Grove from me about trash that came in yesterday. I've been with Pensacola, one of your functions to keep Pensacola beautiful. I've been out there with Ocean Hour, People Against Litter. I have a question though, Charles, and I think your mission and goal is good because this is a reimbursable the way I understand it, what your addition is. But do you have the manpower and the resources to pick up more trash?
Yes, we do. And part of the reason we had an issue last year was because we were short on staff. And a lot of that, as you know, it's very difficult to find staff. We're at full staff right now. We have 5 employees in the services department, which is why our numbers for roadside litter have been so much higher. We've been putting a real emphasis on that. So yes, I believe so. And if we have additional need, one of the things I've really worked to do is try and get the board members engaged in telling us where we need to be picking up litter. And if it looks like we need to hire additional staff, we can do that if we have the right amount of funding.
I know for me, I think this is an important initiative for the county, especially because it's reimbursable. I would be more than happy to increase their funding, even if it was for 6 months. For what you may not know, I did a pilot study with ECUA to pick up garbage that they did, and I'm not going to say it, just hopefully this would help out a little bit. I think it would, and I'd like to increase the number if the board has an interest in that.
All right, Commissioner, so the motion would be to take them to the 182.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, 182.43. I'm sorry, Commissioner May, go ahead.
Yeah, and Mike, I've known Charles probably since our SGA days of college when we ran against each other and ran for each other. I'm certainly going to support it. I did talk to Charles before this. I know, there was some reluctancy, and when I talked to Wes about, a number that Charles could accept, if whatever that number is, Charles, I'll be supportive of it. So if it's a little less, or if it's right there, if this is what it makes you be efficient, you'll find my support. If you can reduce it, that would be great, but if you can't, you'll still have my support.
All right, is that a second for Commissioner May? Okay, I'm inclined to support it. I mean, I talked to Michael Rhodes, who says they work well with them as well. And I don't have a beach, but I do have parks. I have community, I have ballparks and stuff that need a lot of help. And anything that his folks have the ability to do kind of frees up other labor, other resources that can be deployed somewhere else, especially when we have some county employees and even some inmate crews that are picking up trash. If that's certainly a good use of resources. However, if Charles's folks are able to pick up trash, maybe we can deploy that work crew to do a little bit more intense work somewhere that we don't have someone else to do. They might can do some drainage work. They might can do some prep work for other types of county work that's being done. If they're not, if we're not having to deploy work crews to just pick up trash. So maybe it's maybe it can be kind of a twofold win. But Commissioner.
No, and thank you for your comments, Mr. Chairman. And I don't have a beach, but I do have inner cities. And unfortunately, people use a lot of paper products that walk to and fro to get to the store, and there are not a lot of garbage cans in between, so there's a lot of trash that happens in our neighborhood. So I'm certainly concerned about our affluent areas, but I think Charles really understands the importance for me in our low-income areas. They maintain the same quality of service that we're going to give on our beach. So, Charles, if you would keep that in mind, I certainly would appreciate it. But to give Charles a kind of an accolade, Charles and I worked on RBI baseball for inner city kids, but more importantly, not only is this organization picking up trash, but they're putting in parks, they're putting in drum systems, they're putting in musical things inside our parks. They did them in Inglewood. So, Charles, I appreciate the work that you're doing.
All right, Commissioners, if there's no other comments, I'm inclined to support it as well. But so would the motion be the adoption of the of the entire allocation for community partners with the one adjustment increasing Keep Piscataway Beautiful. Commissioner Kohler, is that the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I agree with that because it's a reimbursable. I don't have a problem with that motion.
All right,
Yes.
is that, Commissioner May, is that a second? Stand?
And
All right.
before we take the vote, I
Yes,
have to
sir,
read
please.
an abstention.
Okay, sure.
All right, I have to abstain from this vote, gentlemen. The nature, I, Jeff Burgash, hereby disclose on September 23rd, 2024, an item came before the board which inured to my special gain or loss of my relative, Sally Burgash. She works as the executive director of the Health and Hope Clinic. So therefore, I am going to be abstaining from this vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any dissent? Any abstention? Item passes 3-0 with Commissioner Burgash abstaining. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Mr. Council Member. All right, public forum. Chris Kerb, please.
Thank you, Chris Kerb with Flood Defenders.
Yep, thank you.
I didn't get to make it to your first budget hearing, so I don't think you'll change it. But last time I was in front of you, I was telling you about American Society of Civil Engineers and how we need to rethink stormwater management. I told you about all the money that's been spent on flood damages in Escambia County on National Flood Insurance Program. And this morning I went to Santa Rosa County and spoke there, and we need to be proactive rather than reactive on stormwater management. And I know the county's got a lot of things to deal with. The EMS is a big need, but your engineering department and your public works department, I think they need a bigger budget, but thank goodness for budget amendments. Thanks to staff for putting all this budget information together. I know y'all work hard during this time of year, but we have a storm out there, and I hope it goes to the east of us and don't hit us directly, but we're going to need that $25 million in LOST reserves. Maybe we should spend it before the storms. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Board, that's our only speaker for public forum. Entertain a motion to adopt the final millage resolution for fiscal year 24-25.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I apologize. There was some more I need to read. Entertain the motion to adopt the final millage resolution presented in the agenda backup. Millage rates presented are countywide millage rate 6.6165 mils, library MSTU 0.3590 mils, sheriff's law enforcement MSTU 0.6850 mils. I apologize, but was that a motion?
Yeah, the motion
Thank you.
stands.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Item passes 4-0. Now, the board adoption of a supplemental budget amendment resolution amending the tentative fiscal year 24-25 budget. It is in the increased amount of $50,072,799 for the following funds: General Fund $3,459,451, Local Provider Participant Fund $45,403,963, Tourist Promotion Fund $350,000, Library Fund $167,970, Article 5 Fund $127,008, Opioid Abatement Fund $21,148, Community Redevelopment Fund $171,930, Building Inspections Fund $370,420, and Internal Service Fund $909. I'd entertain that motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right. Any conversation or discussion? All right, please vote. Item passes 4-0. Next is going to be the board adoption of the final budget resolution of $798,672,479 for fiscal year 24-25. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 4-0. The board entertain a motion for the board adopting the fiscal year 24-25 annual budget for the Santa Rosa Island Authority.
I'll move the item.
Thank you, thank you, Jeff. Is there a second? All right, thank you. Mike Burns is going to be very nervous if we don't pass their budget, so. All right, please vote. Item passes 4-0. Next is going to be a recommendation concerning a 3% employee pay increase that is budgeted for and included in the fiscal year 24-25 budget. This increase will be effective with the pay period beginning on September 28, 2024. I'd entertain a motion for that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'll move the item, but before that, I want to
Yes,
thank Stephen, because I certainly believe that our employees that are out there working, many of them are doing jobs that sometimes are thankless. But I think, Steve, since we've been here, we've given a pay increase every single year
Every single year, yes, sir.
that we've been on the board, and that's important to me, not for the six-figure people, quite frankly, but for the people who are sitting here making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And so, Stephen, thank you for working that. Hopefully next year we can give them more, particularly those who are, making low wages. So again, I appreciate that, Wes and Stephen, and I'll move the item, Mr. Chair.
That may be a record. 11 or 12 budgets, whatever the number would be, of consecutive pay increases for employees. So that may be a record.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at 36% increase
Yeah.
since we've been here. And so I'm very proud of that, Steve. And, I think that, particularly those who work in our custodial, who clean our buildings, the people who pick up paper, the people that maintain our buildings, I hope as we move forward, that people who are making, less than, $60,000, that we can even do more. But I am proud of what we've been doing.
Absolutely. And our bargain employees number would be much bigger. So I don't know the number, but it would be much bigger. But apologies, that was a motion. Was there a second for that?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Yeah, Commissioner.
So when you come up with this 3% on 100,000 versus 3% on 45,000, obviously there's going to continue to be a disparity over 5 to 10 years. Do we ever do a desk audit to make sure that we have the right percentage per pay grade?
So our HR director may be here, but yes, so if it's determined, HR will sit down and look at the job duties that each position is performing. Recently, we did implement the HR pay plan where HR had looked at all county positions against the market to see what was an appropriate pay level, and the board did implement 90-95% of that pay plan last year. This year, we have some more of those components built into the current year's budget, such as administrative assistance pay and some other positions that were built in. So, but maybe a longer answer than you asked, but yes, the answer to that is yes, sir.
Yeah, it's probably shorter than I like so far. But so that means 4 to 5% was actually reviewed for potential not being enough for pay? Okay, that's.
And Mike, I'm glad you said something about a desk audit, but simply this, we do a lot of Christmas giveaways. We do a lot of assistance. And I tell you, when we're standing in line for community caring or a Brownsville toy giveaway, and an employee comes in and says they've worked for you 11 to 12 years at Escambia County, but they're waiting in line to get toys. At some point, we can do a desk audit and do comparables and do analysis, but at some point, we got to bring people up to livable wages. When we talk about attainable and affordable housing, and we have people that work for us, but they need subsidies and SHIP and HUD funding, well, that to me is not a good indication. And at some point, we have to, have the political courage to say we're not going to give across the board 3%, but we got to look at the least of them who are performing services, and whether it's a clerical clerk who becomes the face of the county when someone walks in order to build morale, we got to make sure that we pay those people accordingly. And so I hadn't seen the desk audit, I don't know how long ago it was, but I do advocate, Mike, that we take a closer look at bringing those people to livable wages. And quite frankly, $12, $13, $14 an hour in this era is not livable wages. These people still end up on subsidized housing. They still end up, when they have to come and serve this county, having to wait in line. And I see them county employees, to give their children Christmas toys. And to me, that's unacceptable for someone to work in our county and still for us to talk about how proud we are of our employees, and we don't make sure that they can provide for their children. So I look forward to having this conversation more in depth, as we move forward.
I just want to tell a story since you brought that up. So after our last budget meeting, some of our employees that work housekeeping, 2 of them, cornered me in the back here, and they said, are we going to really get a pay raise? I don't want to mention their names, but y'all know them.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I said, I think you are. And they were so excited that they were going to get a pay raise because they probably need that extra $40, And I understand this, dealing with junior sailors when they're going payday to payday just to try to make it. So I just want to make sure it's fair pay for the job. And that's all I want to make sure that we're doing. Thank you.
Mike, and we don't have an opportunity to talk much, but, you know, I do a lot of Little League sports. You'll see parents who want to sign their kids up for baseball who are correction officers who are just not making enough. You know, I mean, to figure out how to pay rent, how to figure out for their child to be a cheerleader and a baseball player. And so, I mean, obviously, you know, some jobs demand more pay. I mean, based on qualifications, education, or whatever. But I think that we can take a harder look to set the standard. And if we set the standard as a public agency of how you pay people, whether they're driving a dump truck or a bus, because they have their CDLs, it will make the private sector will follow if the public sector will set the standard. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation to figure out, you know, how do we pay our employees, particularly those who are making less than $40,000 or $50,000. How are we paying them more? I mean, a 3% to someone who's making $200,000 is a lot different than, as you said, my custodial friends in the back, who, if they're not keeping this building clean, nobody wants to come. I mean, try to hire the best engineer, the best attorney, or the best whatever, and the building's dirty. I mean, so we should value the service that they're giving, and the way you value their service is by paying them. I mean, that's the way that you reward people for hard work, is you give them a fair pay for a fair day's work. So I appreciate it.
All right. Board, if there's no more discussion, we did have a motion and a second. I'm sorry, was there a second for Commissioner May's motion? Thank you, Mike. All right, please vote. Item passes 4-0.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And certainly supported it, but Stephan, if you would go with HR and begin for me to look at what can we do, particularly those people who are making less than $40,000, $50,000.
Yes, sir, and we do have those conversations annually, so certainly we will have those same conversations again next year, absolutely.
Yeah. Even if we had to have it mid-year and we need to bring it back up. I mean, honestly, rather than conversation, I'd rather have action and make it, you know, something that's
Yes, sir.
implemented.
Yes, sir. I have the message.
All right. Board,
Commissioner,
Yes, sir,
just real
please.
quick.
Yep.
So just a point of clarification. So I know that we did increase the Keep Pensacola Beautiful budget. That does not change the board's fund level budget tonight. We will do a budget amendment to place those funds into the proper account next year. So I did just want to make that point of clarification. Your budget is still as you have approved.
all right, super. Thank you very much, Board. We're about to adjourn. We'll be reconvening tomorrow morning for an attorney-client session. Stephan, Regina, James, thank you very much.